having a lot of frustration working on this BMW E30 project. Whenever I need to work underneath the car, which is very regularly, I find myself having a horrible, miserable time wedged into a very tight gap which is hard to work in beneath it. Even after getting the car onto normal height axle stands, which is as high as I can really get it with what I've got, it's just too tight for me to work under there comfortably. When I built this double garage, it was a real game changer for me. But because it's built to maximum regulations before you need planning permission, it's got quite a low ceiling, so there is no scope for fitting a lift of any kind in here really. That saying, I couldn't afford one anyway, to be honest. I know a lot of you guys will be in exactly the same position as I am. So today I'm going to deliver a solution which should enable us to get the car up much higher for a very budget-friendly cost. So stick with me and I'll show you what I'm going to do. The plan is to build some tall wheel stands, aka wheel cribs, quite similar to these that I built previously, but much taller and a much more intelligent design. If you stick with me in this video, I'll show you exactly how I do it as I go along, which will hopefully be helpful to some of you. There are a few other videos and forum threads on how to build wheel cribs. So what I've done is I've had a look at various designs and combined all the best bits into my own design that I'm now actually quite confident on. Not only that, but it's using the best value materials, and as a bonus, I'm going to give you all my measurements in metric. So first, I'll talk to you about the materials, and then I'll show you my professional schematics for the design. So this wood you're looking at here is actually what we're working with. The materials I've got here cost only around £70 all in. I'll go into the design and the measurements in detail in just a moment, but basically we've got 16 lengths of wood here and a box of decking screws. This wood is actually the basic best value stuff you can buy at B&Q, smaller than the typical 2x4s that you see most people use to make wheel stands. We've used this wood for all kinds of things over the years and I've actually been really impressed with it. It's never let me down, it's always ended up lasting well. Each plank is 2.4 metres in overall length, 63mm wide, 38mm deep. To fix them together, I've got this box of decking screws which I just mentioned. These are 4.5mm in diameter and 75mm in length. I'll list out everything I'm using and include links in the description as always, so check that out for clarity. Let's head to the bench and we can look at my professional schematics. With my 16 lengths of wood, I'm going to build 4 wheel cribs to this design. They should end up 38 centimetres tall, 48 long, 30 centimetres wide, and the actual platform, centre platform for the wheel will be 34.2 centimetres. So it'll give me a 34.2 centimetre lift on each wheel. In theory, this should make them safe and suitable for raising the E30, but also for raising my E46 M3, which has 265 section rear tyres. It should mean we have minimum cuts and wastage on the 16 planks too, if all goes to plan. With this design, you'll notice these 2 battens at the top. These are to prevent the car from being able to roll forwards or backwards. And I think at these heights, that is absolutely essential for safety. You'll also notice in my design that we've got 3 top planks and a cross support, which should be good for distributing the load much better. If it's hard to visualise this, just keep watching, you will see what I mean. With all that said, let's get to marking and cutting the wood. So in total, I'm going to need 44 48 centimetre lengths and 44 30 centimetre lengths. In other words, I need to cut 10 planks into longs and 6 planks into shorts. We're going to be using a circular saw here and other basic power tools just to speed this along, but there's no reason you couldn't make this design with hand tools if you've got the stamina for it, which I certainly haven't. "48, 96, 144, 192. Right, onto the short ones. $30, $60, $90, $120, $150, $180, $210. Right, the cutting went well and I've got the ends sanded down so there's no jagged parts that you get splinters off. We've got our pile of shorts which are 30 centimetres long, we've got 44 of those, and the pile of longs which are 48 centimetres long, and I've got 44 of those. Now I just need to come clean for a second in that we have a bit more wastage than I anticipated. It looks like you could have got away with 15 lengths instead of 16. But I'm actually going to modify the design now to make it even stronger and incorporate all but 2 of these. So incorporate these. I'll show you that as we go along, but it should make the cribs stronger and able to take even heavier cars in the future. While we're at it, it makes sense, and I'll only be tripping over these, so might as well use them than not. I'm going to add in the surplus pieces, one here to give me an extra cross support on the layer down, and another here to give me an extra length on the row below as well. That should make them stronger. Okay, so now we might as well get them assembled. I think first of all I'm going to put one together as a prototype without screws, a bit like Jenga, so I can just show you exactly how it goes together and be sure in my own mind. But I'm planning to do 2 pilot holes and 2 screws on each joint, which should keep them really solid, and the pilot hole should prevent the ends of the wood splitting, which is a good idea too. So let's get one mocked up now. I think you could put a Rolls Royce on this. Let's get it screwed together. To make assembly easier and make it easy to line the corners up, we're going to make a jig using these offcuts of gate post. And once we're confident these are a good right angle, we'll screw them together and use it. Well, brilliant. They're really, really solid. They went together quite well, quite fast with some help from the old man, which was much appreciated. And I would not hesitate to put any car on these. They're absolutely rock solid. To be honest, I feel like I may have over-engineered them a little bit, but it's better to be safe than sorry. But I do have one reservation about these, and my worry is, how the heck am I going to get the E30's wheel raised up to get onto the block on all four corners? It's definitely going to take some figuring out this, but stick with me. Let's see if we can get this on here, and then we can actually see the result in terms of working height after all's said and done. My current plan is to get the front of the car, which is already conveniently on the old blocks, lifted higher and then set down onto these axle stands. I'm going to lift it from the front subframe with a jack that has a riser on it. Then I'm going to get the rear of the car lifted up onto wheel stands or blocks, and then from that intermediate height we can then add more risers onto the jack, lift it by the diff and the front subframe separately, of course, and then onto the new tall wheel stands. Let's see how that goes. Okay, we got there in the end. It was actually easier than I anticipated, and we didn't need the axle stands at the front because the front wheels were already on the grey blocks. No matter what though, it's always going to be a two-stage lift this, because you need to add risers onto the jack that you're using to get the car up. As planned, lifted it from the front subframe and from the rear diff. Once the wheels were onto the blocks, the car started to feel much more secure than previously, thanks to the battens at either end that prevent it from rolling. Despite that, you want to try and keep the handbrake in play as much as possible, just to be safe. You definitely don't want the car falling off the blocks or falling off the jack. In terms of actual working height gained here, we're now looking at, looks to be around 50 centimetres, half a metre of working height under the car, and even I'm not too fat to do that. So now I can even bend my elbows under here, which I couldn't do before. World of difference. Working under this car is going to be a lot more fun than it was before. For a 70 quid investment and the investment of a day's time, it doesn't get much better than that in terms of buying garage equipment. I could definitely recommend these so far. I think they're going to be an absolute godsend for me with the upcoming work on this E30. So if this video has been helpful to you, do make sure you give us a like. I know the design changed slightly partway into this video, so what I'm going to do is I'll put a full list of everything you need, which you can effectively use as a shopping list to make exactly the same stands. But please do make sure you subscribe so you see what happens with the car and you get to see these actually in action. Thank you very much for watching.